excited about seeing some of the things that we've learned, put into practice here. But also another thing that I thought was really neat was we went a few years ago and to see the progress that we've made, some of the things that we've implemented here. So I'm excited about the fact that God has placed a lot of us here who are doing various things, and God has brought us some new people who have plugged in. And the thing that Chris Haynes said that stood out more than anything else that I remember at the conference was, God has already given you the people to accomplish the mission that He's put before you. It's just up to you as to whether or not you're going to put those people into place. And that's really what we're excited about, seeing what we can do to match some people with some ministries, help people find your giftedness, and continue to do what God has called us to do here in Rome. We're going to start out with a video this morning, so if you'll turn your attention to the screen, and if you haven't gotten a Bible, if you will, just raise your hand. We'll continue to give those out as we watch the video.
I have no patience in food line. Any line for that matter. Oh, I have to work on my patience. In McDonald's, if there's a long line, I jump behind the counter, I work the fries, I get it moving. I've been employed in the week twice, I don't even work there. But I take the parking space and I love having my picture up. Watch people at McDonald's, they decide what they want when they get to the front of the line. That makes me crazy. What were you doing in line? Your tax returns? I knew what I wanted before I parked the car. People stare at a McDonald's menu. It's McDonald's. It's the same stuff since you were 6 years old. Ask me anything, left to right, right to left. What do you want to know? Get out of the line!
Can you relate to that? I want to start out this morning talking about a few things that really test my patience. Are any of you under the healthcare.gov insurance plan? I am. Kristen being self-employed, me being self-employed. I have the privilege of calling healthcare.gov, the 800 number. And this is basically what I've started doing before I make that call. I just say, help me Jesus. Okay? Because this thing is crazy. Automated phone services. Come on, man, you know. I've got a bank. I love my bank. We've been with them for 13 years. Recently, they decided that they were going to go to an automated phone system. Used to, you would call and they would say the name of the bank and you'd ask who you wanted to speak to, and they would go from there. So they put in this new automated phone system. It drives me nuts. I mean, if you want to speak to the operator, it's what? 0, right? No. On this one, it's 5. I'm like, dude, come on. Get with the system. Other things, computer updates. I mean, I'm right there in the middle of my sermon. It's a Monday. It's 11 a.m. And all of a sudden the computer says, hey, we're going to update. I'm like, where were you at 5 a.m., you know? What's going on with this? A couple other things, Verizon and Comcast. I don't even need to make any comments there, right? Final thing that really tests my patience is people who write checks, like at the store. You know, I just want to kind of be like, how you doing? I'm Joey, and I would like to welcome you 2017. You know? I mean, we got debit cards, we got cash, all these things that we can put in there. What is it for you? What is it that tests your patience? You know, we look at these things and this guy, you know, is very funny and we laugh at some of this stuff, but the reality is, as the called out, we cannot be impatient in the same way that those around us in society are impatient. As we continue this series on overcoming social sins, we are going to look this morning at a little impatience. Any Guns N' Roses fans? Notice that little tape right there on that? Oh, that was pretty good. We're going to define impatience as we get started. A strong sense of annoyance at the usually unintentional faults and failures of others. Now, when it comes to how we treat these situations that come into our lives, if we would just put 2 verses into practice, it would take care of a lot of the situations that we deal with where we become very impatient with people. Look at Matthew chapter 18. Then Peter came and asked him, Lord, how often should I forgive someone who sins against me? 7 times. No, not 7 times, Jesus replied, but 70 times 7. And then look what Paul says in Philippians chapter 2. Don't be selfish. Don't try to impress others. Be humble, thinking of others as better than yourselves. Now, if we would apply those two verses in our lives, how many of the situations that we deal with where we become impatient would be eliminated? Now, let's take this a little bit further and let's ask this question. Thinking about this definition of unintentional faults. If we remembered that these are indeed unintentional faults, and how many times someone overlooks our unintentional faults, or how many times someone overlooks our intentional faults, or our failures. Now think on that for just a moment, because think of how you have your life kind of segmented. You have your family life, your work life, your friends, and there are people that you interact with that you probably cause to be impatient sometimes, right? So think about how many times a family member overlooks your failure or your fault. How many times does a friend do that, a co-worker do that? And we can walk through a day and think, hey, others are overlooking my fault. How can I do the same? We'd be a lot better off in this aspect of life. What can we do to overcome the sin of impatience? Now, I'll answer that question in our time together this morning. But some of you may be saying, well, you know what? Sin? Impatience is sin? All right, well, let's go back to the fruits of the Spirit. They are what? Love, joy, peace, patience. All right, those are fruits that the Spirit should be producing in one who is a follower of Jesus, who has the Holy Spirit living within them, right? So the opposite of patience is what? Impatience. And we said at the beginning of this series that sin is what? Missing the target. So when we are impatient, that's not patient. It's right the opposite of what should be being produced in our lives, and therefore it is sin. So what is the source of impatience? That's what I want us to answer this morning as we get right out of the gate. I do not have a handout. I sent that UPS, and then I failed to go get it yesterday. So I'm sorry that you don't have the handout that you normally have to write that down. This slipped my mind yesterday. But if you want to follow along, we're going to answer several things this morning that I think will help you and be very beneficial to you. I think often our attitude with impatience says a whole lot more about us than it does with the people that we are actually being impatient with. Is that the case for you? I mean, you think really about what is being said here. The main reason that many of us become impatient is because the others don't conform to what it is that we're wanting to do in our lives. They're not acting a certain way that we think they ought to act, or they're kind of in our way. So we asked this question about what is the source of impatience, and I'm going to say this right out of the gate. Number one, the first answer I have to this is impatience is a learned behavior. Now you go back to Jesus, and we look at Jesus, and we see Him and who He is, and we see how He interacts with other people. And what a wonderful example He sets for us. Now, He is the Word, He is the standard, and He did a lot of rebuking, especially the Pharisees and some of His followers, but you don't see Him being impatient. I mean, when do you see Him say, come here, Peter, give me that. I'm going to take over. I'm going to do this. You remember trying to work with your dad or your granddad? I remember my granddad specifically. I love this guy. He was a saint in my opinion, but man, there were times when he was impatient. And we'd be trying to do something and it wasn't being done fast enough, and he'd be like, just give it to me. Let me do that. I remember those times, when I was a kid growing up, when he would act in that sense. But we never see that with Jesus. And I think there's a lesson to be learned there for us. As His followers, as His brothers and sisters in Christ, we need to look at His example and treat others in the way that we see Him treating them when He was here on this earth. Since this is a learned behavior, when we decide to become impatient in front of our children, what are we teaching them? That this is acceptable, this is okay, this is the okay way to do life. Now, let's go back and look at an Old Testament principle. And I want us to bring this forward and apply it to what we're looking at this morning as we talk about impatience. Remember this teaching from Deuteronomy chapter 6. Beginning in verse 1, it says, "These are the commands, decrees, and regulations that the Lord your God commanded me to teach you. You must obey them in the land you are about to enter and occupy. And you and your children and grandchildren must fear the Lord your God as long as you live. If you obey all His decrees and commands, you will enjoy a long life. Listen closely, Israel, and be careful to obey. Then all will go well with you, and you will have many children in the land flowing with milk and honey, just as the Lord, the God of your ancestors, promised you. Listen, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord alone. And you must love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength. And you must commit yourselves wholeheartedly to these commands that I am giving you today. Repeat them again and again to your children. Talk about them when you are at home and when you are out on the road, when you are going to bed and when you are getting up. Tie them to your hands and wear them on your forehead as reminders. Write them on the doorpost of your house and on your gates. Now, let's take that principle and let's apply it to what we're talking about here. Because what are we saying? Be patient, be an example, right? Now let's take some phrases out of this particular reading in Deuteronomy chapter 6. You must obey. Commit yourselves wholeheartedly. Repeat them to your children. Tie them to your hands. Wear them on your forehead. Now think on that for just a moment. What is it that you are obeying every day? How are you living your life? What is it that you are teaching to your children? What is it that's written on your forehead that's tied to your hands? Is it someone who is going into the world and seeing hurt people and seeing people in need and giving them extra measures of mercy and grace? Or are you one who's going into the world saying, you know what, I cannot take this. You are slowing me down. You're not as smart as I am. You're not doing the job the way it ought to be done. And I'm going to come into your life just to let you know that you aren't doing this the way that it should be done. I mean, how many of us are really living this life? I mean, I don't know. I can't speak for you. All I can do is speak for myself. And I know a lot of times I'm a very impatient person. You know, Lord, give me this and give it to me yesterday. You know, you've seen that little prayer before? Guys, I thought that was a little bit funny. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know if the comedian stole my joke this morning and y'all just aren't with me or what, but I'm kind of getting a lot of this morning. I don't know what's going on. So y'all stick with me here.
We're being patient.
That is good. That is good. Oh, Zach, I love you, buddy. That was awesome. I don't know where to go from there. He has stolen my thunder. Now, as we've asked with every situation that we've talked about, have you given this area of your life over to God? See, as I walk through life and I'm 22 and I'm 25, I guess probably about 25 or so, I learned about grace and I started getting away from legalism. Man, it opened my eyes up to so many different things. Because at 18, 20, I thought I was doing everything the way it needed to be done because it was a system of checks and balances. And I went to church 3 times a week and I didn't cuss and I didn't smoke. And, you know, there's so many things I didn't do. And then I find grace and I see there's so many things that I'm not doing. And I've learned that the only thing that I can do, I mean, I have the privilege of working as a minister every day, and I can go out and I can talk to people, and I can tell them about Jesus, and I can lead 50 people to Jesus one day and baptize them. Man, that's a great day, you know, it's a wonderful day, but I'm still a failure. Why? Because I may have been able to lead 50 people to Jesus, but there's still 60,000 in this county who aren't in a relationship with Jesus. So the reality is I didn't do everything that could be done. And either I accept Jesus and I accept grace, or I walk through this life scared and miserable. You know what? I cannot do this on my own. And that's what I find out more and more. And one thing that I find out more and more as well is this area over here hasn't been submitted to Jesus. This area over here hasn't been submitted to Jesus. And if we're not careful, Satan will use that to beat us like crazy. But the beautiful thing that I'm seeing as well, when I go back and I look at some of my journals and I talk to some of the people that I knew a year ago or 5 years ago, is I see some growth in my life. I see an area over here that I did submit to God, and I've gotten a little better there. And I did submit this one to God, and I've gotten a little better there. What I'm asking you this morning is, are you submitting your life to Jesus? Are you looking in the corners and the closets, asking Him to identify things in your life that need to be given over to the Spirit? If you will do that, He will work in you. He will make it a better way. The fact of the matter is, we can live the life we're living right now as long as we want to. We do not have to submit to God. We do not have to submit to the Spirit. But if we will, how much better will life be? So I'm asking you to think about this idea. Ask God to help you put impatience to death. How often do we do that? Lord, I'm impatient. I was just impatient right there, right now. Help me, God, to be better in this situation. Listen to these verses for just a moment. 1 Corinthians 13:4 that we use all the time. It says what? Love is patient. Ephesians 4:1-2. Therefore, I, a prisoner for serving the Lord, beg you to lead a life worthy of your calling, for you've been called by God. Always be humble and gentle. Be patient with each other, making allowance for each other's faults because of your love. And then Colossians 3:12. Since God chose you to be the holy people He loves, you must clothe yourselves with tender-hearted mercy, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. It says what right there? You must do these things. So we look at these verses and we see that God tells us over and over again that patience must be a mark of a true follower of Jesus. Here's the final thing I want us to see. Because a lot of times I think that just in life in general, this is one of the things we talked about at the conference this week. This church does a very good job, the Church of the Highlands, of celebrating the victories. Man, you walk in this place and it's just it's like home. I mean, it's a wonderful environment, an uplifting environment. And there's just love there. You can feel it in the room. But they celebrate the victories. And God is working in this world in a positive way, and God is always going to win. But so many times what we do is we beat ourselves up when we become impatient and we fail, and oh man, I'm just terrible for that. I can't believe I allowed myself to do that again. I can't believe I was impatient with my child, or I was impatient with someone at work. And we really allow that to kind of put a cloud over our day. But how many times do someone come into our life and we say, you know what, I'm going to bite my tongue here. You know what, I'm going to give a little bit of extra mercy and grace. I'm going to give a second chance. But yet we don't give ourselves credit for that. I mean, how many times do you have someone that's in your family, a cousin that no one can really tolerate, or a father-in-law or mother-in-law or a brother or sister that just doesn't act the way that they should, and you give them a little bit more mercy, a little bit more grace than you did a year ago or 5 years ago. What we need to do is we need to pat ourselves on the back for that. We need to celebrate that. We need to say, you know what? God, thank you. Thank you for helping me be obedient. Because folks, we are living in a lot better way and a lot closer to Jesus today than we were 6 months ago, or we were 2 years ago, or 5 years ago. This is a growth process that will continue until the Lord calls us home. But we need to be encouraged, and we need to be encouraging each other. When these things come into our lives, these situations, we see a brother or sister handle the situation the way that they should. We need to go up to them, pat them on the back, and say, hey, you know what? You did a really good job there. I saw how you handled that situation, and I'm really proud of you, because I know that's something you've been struggling with, but you did well. So that's what I'm wanting us to see here. When you overlook an offense, you express love. And that's what we need a whole lot more of in this world. The love of Jesus. 1 Peter 4:8 says this: most important of all, continue to show deep love for each other. For love covers a multitude of sins. Now, if love covers a multitude of sins, shouldn't it also cover a multitude of things that irritate us? I want to bring this back to Jesus. Let's go back to this idea for a minute of impatience being more about us and what's going on internally in our lives. The fact that we're thinking about ourselves and how someone is inconveniencing us. And let's ask this question. What did Jesus want from those who were around him while he was here? Think on that for just a moment. Because he was fully God, but he's also fully human. And he had godly expectations because that's the standard he used to live his life by. But what did he expect from those around him? Now I want you to parallel that with what you are expecting from others in your life as well. And then let's answer the question. I think Jesus expected love and mercy and grace and patience. But what did he get? Many times I think we forget this. What he got was betrayal. He got spat upon. He got lied about. He was abandoned. And what does the word say about such? 1 Peter 2:23, he did not retaliate when he was insulted, nor threaten revenge when he suffered. He left his case in the hands of God, who always judges fairly. And what I want to encourage you to do is continue to turn away and trust yourself to God in those situations that come into your life. I was driving down Highway 78. I was 20 years old. And right there at Highway 78, you kind of come down this one road and you take a left at 84 Lumber to get on to Highway 78. And it's a 4-lane for about another mile and a half, 2 miles. But I remember as soon as I turned, there was a blue truck in front of me. And there was a car to the right, and this car was driving about 8 miles an hour, and this guy in the front of me was violating the law that was not established then, which is the slow poke law that you can't drive slow in the left lane. And I was behind him, and I was thinking, man, I got to get to this interview. So we kept going, and he kept driving in a race with the guy driving 8 miles an hour. So in my mind, I was like, man, I really want to blow the horn because I got to get to the interview. And the last thing you want to do is show up late to an interview, right? I had called my friend Richard O'Connor, who had been our minister at the church where I grew up. And I asked him, I said, hey man, the church that you're working with, are they going to hire a summer youth intern? And he said, yeah. He said, as a matter of fact, we've had 2 guys come in and we offered them the job and it just didn't work out. They took other positions, so we're still looking for someone. Why do you ask? I said, well, I'm interested in giving it a shot, man. I think I might be open to getting in a ministry. I think God may be calling me to that. So he said, man, I tell you what, I'll set up an interview with our elders and I'll be there. And why don't you come over and go through this interview? I said, okay. So that's where I was going. I mean, you don't want to be late to your interview. So we keep going, and then I told you it's a 4-lane for a little while, and then it goes into a 2-lane. So I could not get around this blue truck before the 4 went to 2. So here I am puttering along, and in the back of my mind thinking, man, I got to be patient, but I really want to let this guy know he's slowing me down. So we go on down a little bit, go through an intersection, top of the hill, and the church building is there on the right. I put my blinker on. I'm about to turn, and guess what? This blue truck puts his blinker on. And he turns as well. And then I turn into a parking lot, and I follow him into the parking lot. And I park my car, and he parks his car, and I get out of my car, and he gets out of his car, and I walk through the parking lot, and this guy said, hey, I'm Dan Brown. And I said, I'm Joey Haynes. And he said, I'm one of the elders at this church. So the reason I told you that story was to say this. Because one time in my life I was patient. Those of you who know me pretty well know that I'm not a very patient guy. I may have been able to stick with God's plan or allow God's plan to continue to unfold in my life because I was obedient. Because I think about blowing the horn on that day and then pulled into the parking lot and this guy gets out of his car, I think he would probably just been like, I think we're good, you know? Just go ahead and get back in your car. And the reason I told that story is because I want you to think on this for just a moment. We are to be God's vessels of love, joy, peace, patience, all those things as we go into life, right? And I believe God's will from the time that He was thinking about me long time ago was for me to get into ministry. And I know He has the power to do something else if I'd have messed that up. But what I'm asking us this morning is, are you kind of messing with God's will for your life by being impatient with others? Because how many times has God sent someone into someone else's life who was super annoying, who everyone else at the factory didn't like, no one at the family really sat by at the reunions, and God is saying in His plan, this is the person that I'm sending to you because you will be patient with them, or I'm going to give you a chance to be patient with them, and if you will be able to lead this person to Jesus. How many people do we work beside for 5 years or 10 years or go to school with for 13 years, and God is saying, okay, this is a person who doesn't know Jesus. But because we're impatient with a teacher, we're impatient with our coaches, our fellow students, they look at me and say, you know what? If that's what it's all about, I'm not into it. What I'm saying to us is every day we have opportunities to show the love of Jesus by being patient with other people. And as we do that, and we pour love into them, and we're patient over and over and over again, the world's a better place, and God's will is done. Where are you in your walk with Jesus this morning? Folks, this conference has given me a renewed desire to love God, to worship Him. You know, they talked a little bit about worship over there, and they said, you know, what are you passionate about? And man, I'm thinking, man, it's just 20-something days to a football season, you know? And I can't wait to be sitting there in front of the TV and just giving all I've got for my teams. And then I go back to Jesus, and I think about coming in here, and I think about sometimes just wanting to express myself by lifting my hands to Jesus. Or you see people encountering Him and fell down on their knees to worship Him. And I said, how many times have I done that in my life? And you know why we don't? Mainly because we were never taught to do that. But on the other hand, I think a whole lot of us are more concerned about what the people around us are thinking than we are about giving our lives over to Jesus fully. That's what I want from my life. I want to be a vessel that when they put me back into the earth and the last words are said of me, someone says, I know this about him. That body, that vessel is used up. It was empty when God called him home. Folks, we need revival. We need a movement. That starts with me and you saying, yes, Spirit, I submit my life to you. I want renewal. Change me. Our prayer partners will be in the back. I'll be in the front. We'd love to help you in any way that we can.